Dear audience, please welcome again Park Sungho. Please, yes. Thank you very much, Park Sungho. Again, thank you for being here with a 32-hour flight. That's really amazing. And to come here to present the Chanel Biff Asian Film Academy. I would like to ask you first, and of course the audience is invited to ask questions. If you wish, give us a sign. I would like to ask you again, plus, I mean, what we saw 4 short films out of 8 from last year that were produced last year. Also, we saw the documentary on the behind the scenes, which I find very valuable because of the insights, how it works to get an understanding. But could you give us, first of all, a layout of how does this program work and when did it start? And how did it move on after it started?
Cool. But I actually put
introduction. So we have some Spanish introduction.
I just try. Sorry for my bad Spanish. Buenas noches, gracias a todos. Soy Sungho, programador del Busan International Film Festival en Corea y director de la Chanel by Biff Asian Film Academy. Asian Film Academy es un taller paralelo al Festival de Cine que comenzó hace unos 20 años. Okay, I need to take off my glasses first. En cada año abrimos las solicitudes en primavera y luego del proceso de selección invitamos a 24 jóvenes cineastas de toda Asia. Realizamos 8 cortometrajes en un taller intensivo de 3 semanas bajo la supervisión de reconocidos cineastas como Hou Xiaoxian, Abbas Kiarostami y Li Changdong. Okay, continúo en inglés. So I hope they have a translate.
First of all, that's your applause. That was your applause for your Spanish. And second of all, you don't need me here anymore because you explained everything already in Spanish and everybody knows everything already.
Okay, thank you. I think the charm of film festivals is that the festival itself attracts everybody. Very sarcastically, I keep saying, well, the film industry keeps going with or without film festivals. Although I've been working for film festivals for many, many years. I make a joke, sarcastic joke. But as I said, the virtue of film festival is that we attract so many different people from the industry, from the education, from the cinephiles, and of course, audiences and filmmakers. And I think Busan started in 1996 when actually so it's 30th anniversary this year, much younger than you. And when
we are 64 years. And I think, but Busan is absolutely amazing because I know you started about 30 years ago and you created something in 30 years as it's uncomparable because it's the largest and most influential film festival nowadays in Asia.
Yeah, thank you very much. And 30 years ago, nobody knew about Busan, very few people knew about Korea actually. It was a time when there was no like K-dramas or K-pop, K-cinema, K-culture thing spreading all around the world. But I think it was a very good momentum because in 90s, I remember that of course, economically and politically, Korea became more mature and advanced, and it was about time for us to have a film festival. And from the beginning, they were very, very ambitious. So my mentors and my elders, I would say, they started a festival at a very big scale from the beginning. And then they immediately started to discuss what festival can do to sustain itself as well as to contribute to the film industry. And so after, I think it was 10th anniversary, 9th or 10th or 11th anniversary, after the establishment of the festival, we started to have, think about, okay, actually before that, we already started from the project market, APM, from the second or third edition. So it was the beginning of the industry part of the festival. And then we also started Asian Cinema Fund at the 7th or 8th edition. And then finally at 10th edition, we decided to make an educational program. And actually it was inspired by Berlin Talent Campus, because we heard that, oh, so Berlin is doing something educational, and we believed we can do it. And we brainstormed a lot with other film schools in Korea, how we can collaborate and what program can be suitable alongside with the festival events. And so it was a little bit turbulent for the first few years, but in the end we formed a format to invite 24 young filmmakers from all over Asia. And it's still a very peculiar and very strange experience, because you might not have felt it watching the documentary film, but as a Korean, I found it very strange, because other than any other film workshop, all the people are from different countries, and they get through this chaos and learn how to survive among the whole chaos with all the strong characters, all the strong people, how they negotiate, how they become friends and enemies and back to friends. It's a good opportunity. And as you might know that, in Asia, not so much co-production or collaboration inside Asia, actually. So far, actually, it's growing very slowly, but I think one of the good thing about AFA is that we really encourage co-production. So after because it's already like 20 years since the establishment of AFA, there were a lot of collaboration, like co-productions happened thanks to AFA, in Asia.
Thank you very much. May I ask you about, I think what you mentioned, like also that you created a network among the filmmakers who come, but this is not only for 1 year, but for many years already. So you basically started to create not only short films every year, but these filmmakers, young filmmakers, emerging filmmakers from all over Asia, they are now connected through all the years and all the editions. I think that is something really amazing that this happened. But could you give us a little bit more insight how it works? So there are all the Asian countries, and they can apply at a platform, I think in some database or they can submit projects and can apply to be part of it. How does it work then? You said 24 are being selected. Who are they? What background do they have?
Well, we open submission every year, and for example, last year, the statistic is we received more than 600 applications, and actually we are now accepting the application until 4th of April. So like every March and April, we open through the website, and mostly we don't have any age limit or whatever limit, but the target criteria is when you finished your short films more than 2 times. So you know how to make short films at least, and the portfolio is very, very important. It's better, not necessary, but it's better that they haven't directed a feature-length film yet, because that's our target And we have a long, boring selection processes. As you can imagine, there were like 4 pre-selectors and discussion a lot, and it's always interesting. And when we select those 24, of course, we make some biases and always make some political decisions. For example, as you have seen, among the 24 fellows, mostly like 12-12, like men and women are equally balanced, but that's because we had to be very careful when we select them, because among the 600 applications, for example, like let's say 500 boys and 100 girls, so it has to be recalibrated and recalculated to make the balance, yeah.
And I would like to open this to the audience. I have many more questions, but please, if you have questions, please ask them first. Give us a sign if you like. Ah, there is a question. Do we have another microphone? Yes, we do.
Hola, hi, 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 헬렌입니다. Bueno, mi pregunta tiene que, o sea, I want to know if in the future exists the possibility of Latin students or people who are to ¿cómo se dice?
Yes.
Que quiere presentarse. ¿Puede traducirme? Can you translate my? Si en el futuro pueden aceptar personas estudiantes de Latinoamérica.
If you're thinking of accepting Latin people on the future for them to participate in the workshop.
I really wish I can say yes very soon, but as you can imagine, well, not now, but also I will give you good suggestions soon. But first of all, it's always a dilemma in Busan, because we have like Asian Cinema Fund and Asian Film Academy, and Asian Project Market, Asian Film Market, everything Asian. But I think it's because we really were, I mean, the ground was tilted, you know, I mean, how big is the European market and European history of education and everything, also powerful American industry power. So we had to self-sustain kind of thing first, to focusing on Asia. But of course, we want to be more open and more, how to say, more inclusive. And I think if we do, I think Latin can be one of the first places we open doors for. But for now, we only accept, for example, like Korean American or like Asian American. We accept their applications, and sometimes they get accepted. But for now, it's very, very depending on what passport we have. So I don't want to sound like a racist, but it happens so. But there are other programs you can apply for, not this one. But because Asian Film Academy has been very, successfully established in Korea, Korean Film Council and other, like Busan Film Commission, they also started, they benchmarked us, and they also got advices from us to start their own educational programs. And there are more opportunities for like Latin applications.
Before you ask the next question, I would like to add something. I understand this because Asia is a huge continent already, and I think you have so many countries with so many languages also. So you do this in English, right? Here, okay, this is also important. I think you find the common language here. But I think your question is great. It's a very important question, and I can understand that there is an idea or kind of to apply for this. Another option could be, I'm speaking could, because it would be great, it could be great if in Latin America there would be an academy like the Asian Film Academy. So then this could be possible in Latin America. I think it would be amazing. And then we could connect the Latin American Academy with the Asian Academy. This is just could, theoretically. So just to add this.
Brilliant idea.
Yes. So, and now there is a second question I saw. You wanted to ask a second question.
Yes, I just graduated from production and direction of TV and filmmaking, and I would like to know, what will be your recommendation for me? I'm looking for prospects in the future, like work and studying more, and Busan sounds like a really great idea and a really great opportunity. You're telling me that there are other programs, which will be the best, or which will recommend, or some options. I'm really curious about that because I see here that it was something really big that you made with the workshop and everything from the festival. So what other options are there? Because you said it's better if you are a student and you haven't directed something. I am not a student. My thesis was me directing my own short film. So I'm looking for options. I would like to see what you tell me because you inspire me so much.
Partially understood. So you are directing a short. Sorry, I really understood just partially. So could you summarize your question again, please?
Could you? It was acoustically. It was a bit. Can you hold the microphone a bit more up and just briefly ask the question? Then we can understand better. Thank you.
Okay, so long story short, I just graduated. I just directed my own short film. It's really small right now, but what will be other prospects or plans that you will recommend me? You were telling about other options of programs and something like that. I would like to know which will be your recommendation for someone like me, someone that I know that I'm not the only one that doesn't know how to do next with studies or work or something like that, to have this opportunity, to use these opportunities to grow up in the industry.
So you mean you directed a short film, and right? You directed a short film, and you are looking for how commercialize, utilize your short film to extend your career, or you mean, did I understand?
Yes, it will be like using my short film, or just go myself to Korea to look for other opportunities, making another short film, or just learning.
Of course, there are so many ways of becoming a filmmaker, and you want to be a full-time filmmaker or part-time? It's a bad joke anyway. So congratulations that you finished your short film. And well, for me, essentially, short films are, of course, very important as a filmmaker, because other than that, if you are serious about making a feature-length film, and if you are serious about your future career in the film industry, how can people know that your sincerity without watching your short film, for example? So if you, and also, I don't know how many short films you finished, but I hope you continue making your short films, and when you've done your short films, it's also important that you apply for everywhere, like all the film festivals, to be exposed, to be promoted, and because short films are usually very free. Of course it costs a lot of money and time, but it's much more. You can enjoy freedom in making short films. So you can do as long as you can, and I hope you have strength to continue, and I hope your short films will be exposed, invited to as many film festivals as possible, and naturally there will be people like producers or other filmmakers who recognize your talents and approach you to look for future opportunities, I believe. I think that's how also festivals work. Yeah.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Oh, actually there is a question over there, and then there is a question here in the center. Can we please, yes, the microphone to this lady. Okay, then we start here in the middle. No, we go over to, okay, we do this. Both, of course, both questions can be asked. Okay, thank you.
Okay, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Cam, programmer from Eureka University Film Festival. So I would like to ask you how it was the first edition of this activity that you made, and it was a lot of different than the last edition.
Okay, so in the beginning, it was really chaotic because everybody was so much stressed because nobody knew what they were doing. So it was not systematic. There was no manual. So we created our own way of doing things while everybody was not fully satisfied, or some people were overjoyed. So it was, I would say, a little bit disastrous for the first 2 or 3 years. So actually, I was not there at the first edition. I joined from the third edition. And the first thing I had to do was to make it more structural, because in the beginning, everything was very spontaneous and very, how to say, in a good way, very open. But on the other side, you cannot listen to everybody. You cannot listen to like 100 people participating in the program and listen to all of their opinions. So I had to decide what we have to focus on and what is our goal, what is our aim, what is our opportunity. So before thinking too much, I wanted to simplify the decision-making process and the schedule processes. And then for the last few years, of course, we always tweak here and there a little bit every year. But for example, we used to make 2 short films for a long time. We divided 24 fellows into 2 teams, which is we still do. And we used to make 2 short films, but we changed it to making 8 very short films from 3 years ago, because we think now people want, especially the directors, want more individualized voices. And personally, I think I don't really find workshop films amazing. I think usually in life and in filmmaking, the result is more important than the process, I believe. But for the workshop, I believe the process is much more important than the result, because it's education and you can make mistakes, nobody cares, and you know. But but we are doing more. I think the program became more intense when we expanded it to 8 very short films, because we need more locations and people feel that they are more focused for each short films. Yeah.
Yes, it was a great question and a great answer, but I want to add something, because I understand, but please correct me if I'm wrong. You said the process is more important than the result. Usually it's the other way around. I have to say, these 24 very talented Asian filmmakers, cineastas here in Latin America, they develop and produce something in a very short time together, and it's a very practical experience. And now I want to ask you something, please correct me. Each of these short films, they are shot in 1 day, is that correct? Mostly.
Yes, within 24 hours.
So it's 1 day. For me, that is really amazing. So each of these films we saw were, in the end, after all this pre-production, the shooting took place 1 day.
It can be less than 1 day, actually. It can be really literally 1 afternoon or 1 night. It's a very chaotic program, and mostly they are not supposed to sleep, the participants, for the 3 weeks. So everybody became a little bit insomniac, and it's another fun of it, because when you are so stressed and so tired, you become something monstrous, and everybody's become monstrous. So it's also good training to survive in this super hazardous situation.
Yeah, there is a question. Thank you very much. There was a question in the center. Yes, please.
Hi. Well, my question is actually kind of related to her question, and it's just out of curiosity, like having so many people undergoing the academy and creating so many different short films. How do you feel like the eye of the filmmakers has changed over the years, like their interests, the topics they delve into, and like their sensibilities? Like what were people interested in narrating when, like, since the moment you joined, and what are people interested in now?
So you mean the changes of tendency in like their interests and things?
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting thing actually to observe the shifts of interest and the changes of generations. Oh my God, I feel like I'm old. But well, I would say like my conclusion is that, well, we have so many stories untold outside of mainstream Hollywood films or even the mainstream art house films in Europe. There are so many untold stories in Asia because we were too poor to realize we can make films, or economically, or we were politically suppressed and socially censored, and there were so many taboo topics in Asian content. But we have lots of very old stories, because many countries in Asia are also hundreds, if not thousands years of old. Many countries are very old in Asia, so there must be a lot of stories to tell. And the shifts in recent years I observed is that, well, it's the same in, it's usually the short films reflect the changes of their objects or subjects in fashion, and then a few years later became the feature films. But even before short films, like in many proven things in the film history, the paintings or the novels, the literature reacts first. I think they react very quickly about what we want to share. What we want to tell as an artist, and then it comes to short films, and then it comes to feature-length films. And for example, in Asia in general, well, it's very difficult to generalize Asia, but I can feel that they are enjoying more and more freedom of expression. So like 20 years ago, they were more suppressed, and very sadly, they didn't know they were suppressed. I keep saying, be free, think free, but they were very conservative. But more and more, they are more open to, for example, in Asia, violence is okay to talk, but for example, sex is kind of taboo, very much taboo in many Asian cultures. But as you have seen, now they talk about even LGBTQ plus issues like lesbians and gays and everything. It's more free and more casual and more brilliant and things. But I want to see in the future. Well, I cannot make the future. I cannot by myself. But I'm not God. But I want to see. And I hope to see, for example, like they make, there's no press here, right? This is embargo, because this can be very sensitive. But I want to see, for example, comedy films about Vietnam War, for example, in the future. Because there are like comedy about World War II in Europe since 80s or 90s. I watched since 90s. And there are also comedies about Korean War from 90s. But because I was born in 70s, I know until 80s it was kind of taboo to make a comedy film out of our trauma. But now we start to make, it's very natural now. So I think in the future, even they can make dramas, comedies out of their traumas and something they don't want to talk. I think it will be, people will be more enlightened in a cinematic way, I hope. And I think it's coming soon because, for example, in Indonesia, the literature become very liberal for more than 10 years. So I think the cinema in Indonesia, for example, will be more expressive. Yeah, soon.
Thank you.
Question in the center, yes.
Yeah. Hi. At first, thank you so much for being here. And annyeonghaseyo, just for being happy tonight. Just like you say, talking about K-dramas and K-pop, like a producer, like a cinema good fan and person in this topic, like someone who wants to show the real Korea, what is the hardest part of do that with all the hype in the industry and the picture that the new media have been giving to the rest of the world?
Sorry, I also didn't get the question. So,
I repeat?
Could you summarize the question, please? Sorry.
Okay. You were talking about K-dramas and K-pop, for example, and I'm asking like to you, like a producer and like someone who wants to show the real Korea, like the daily life in Korea, for example. What is the hardest part of do that? With all the hype and the industry and the picture that all the new media want to give to us, like with the K-dramas and K-pop, for example, what is the hardest part to show that real Korea?
The real Korea.
What is the hardest part to show the real Korea, right? Daily lives. Well, the thing is that Korean culture industry is huge, really huge. There are, but I don't know, we call it a small country, but actually the population is very similar with Colombian population. It's about 53 million population in South Korea. So demography-wise, I think it's pretty similar. But we, for example, produce about 600 and 700 feature-length films annually. And we make like I don't know how many, but pretty much similar numbers of series and TV dramas. Like every day there's something new. And also like K-pop idols, I heard there are more than 500 K-pop idols debut each year. So it's a very, very big industry. I don't know why. But to show the real Korea is a very, I think, a subjective matter because I would say because there are 500, let's say 500 directors made their film every year, 1 year. I think there are 500 realities or imagination of the films. And I'm only talking about the fiction feature, but we also make a lot of documentary films too. So they might be more interested to show the truth of or mundane life of Korean things. But I also now think some people might think it very important, but for some people it might be less important. So what I want to say is that first, everybody think in a different way, and the second, I don't know how to describe the Korean daily life because when I watch, for example, when I listen or watch something, somehow I think, oh, this reflects the reality pretty well. But even though it's not real, it can never be a reality for everyone because I'm not also representing the whole Korean. Of course, we have, for example, super rich Koreans or super poor Koreans. You know, I cannot represent everybody in Yeah, so I think but it's also a very good question because it is very important for, I believe, Korean, especially Korean films and Korean dramas, that it should make sense, whether based on reality or based on fantasy, but it really should make sense and be accepted by the audience in Korea, because I think Korean audiences are very harsh. They are very critical and judgmental, and I think that's how the content creators have learned surviving, I think. Yeah.
Actually, I'm receiving some signals here that we have to leave the screening room for the next event here. So I would say, Park Sungho, thank you very much for being here, coming from Korea. Thank you very much to the audience. It is really amazing that you came and stayed here for so long until the end of this Q&A. And possibly there is a chance, since we have to leave the room, possibly in front of the room, if there's another question to Park Sungho, it can be asked to you, hopefully. Yes, thank you. So thank you very much to everybody being here. And I hope we can continue this conversation in the future, because there is so much potential, and I think it would be fantastic to explore more opportunities here. Thank you very much indeed.
Where's the weekend?
Hay algo mágico en ver cómo Cartagena se transforma cuando el cine se hace presente. Cómo en sus calles resuenan historias, cómo sus plazas, sus barrios y sus salas se convierten en escenarios donde el encuentro desde lo entrañable se hace posible. Este año, en la edición 64 del Festival Internacional de Cine de Cartagena de Indias, esa sensación de regreso es más profunda que nunca, porque el FICCI regresa a sus raíces, a la cartagenidad que lo vio nacer. El FICCI se abre al color, la imaginación y las posibilidades de este lenguaje que, aunque ya posicionado, sigue en expansión. Bienvenidos al FICCI 64, a este lugar donde las historias se encuentran con quienes la necesitan, a esta ciudad que durante una semana se convierte en una gran pantalla dispuesta para el mundo. Cartagena, una vez más, se viste de cine y este festival es suyo. Muchas gracias.